be a positive adult in a child's life, it can make a difference.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Chat with Mick. And today, oh my gosh, we have Keira Rode. Hi!
Hi!
How are you doing?
Thank you so much for inviting me here and be part of your show. And I'm really happy to be here live with you today.
It's so interesting because today we have Keira Rode, who traveled far to be here in LA with a book that she actually wrote herself, and it's called Our Journey Through the Broken Path. What is the broken path?
Honestly, guys, this book is all about giving awareness to everyone, especially maybe for 50 years old and or 40 years old, and especially for our younger ones that they are a parent themselves now, to help us be a parent to every kids that we stumble. I'm bringing the slogan because we are really the living proof for it, me and my sister, and it really makes a difference in a child's life. And this book is all about our childhood experience. I wrote this from the age of like 3 years old until we come here in the US. So this one consists of 20 chapters, and in every chapter there's a different traumatic experiences. So if the adult in a particular situation doesn't handle it correctly, then my therapist helped me pinpoint the situation and help correct it so that we knows how to handle our children, because it's really very important for us to really know how to take care of our young ones, not only the child that we give birth to, but all the children around us. Because when we be a positive adult in a child's life, it can make a difference in a child's life talaga. Like, it's really very different. Me, my siblings and I grew up with a single parent. My mother is a very brave, courageous woman that I know a lot of mothers are, but Mama is really one of the top one, I would say. And her story can really, this one is not really about it, but her story can really be a great movie, film, because of the character that she is. A lot of people will say I am brave, but I'm really nothing compared to my mother's. Maybe I'm not even half, maybe, with her character. But this book is to give awareness to all of us that we have to step up, especially here in the US, diba? A lot of kids goes to the school shooting at all these other kids. Why these kids are like that? Because a lot of our children, not a lot of children, have a safe home. Even if they have mother, father, or they belong to a complete family, it's not. A lot of children are suffering, even if they have complete family. And it's really very important for the kind, compassionate, caring, and loving people to step up. And this book is one of it. So, like, you can tell me, guys, let me know if you read the book, let me know who's your best character, because all the people that step up on us, we can't really choose because they are really great, kind people. And Mama raised us to be godly, preserved woman, but it's really different. She's not always with us because she's always on travel. So almost every day she has to travel for work. And because of these other people that step up and help Mama to raise us, it really makes us a difference. And me and my sister, we honestly didn't plan to come here in the US, never in our crazy dream to be here. But to be honest with you guys, both of us are here in the US. When people will say bad things to you or like put you down or things, I really think as long as you really know that you are not doing wrong to other people, or you are not stepping other people in purpose, God will really put you in a position where you don't even think that you deserve it, or you don't even think that you can reach it. Or like just being here in the US, it's part of God's plan na hindi namin plinano. We honestly have like other aunts here, like but we lost communication with them for many years. But this book is not part of it, but the book is all about giving awareness for us to step up and be kind to young children, because trauma is a silent killer. So a lot of people will say, like when God asked me to write, I honestly told God, I think you are calling a wrong person to write, God, because I'm really a silent person. I'm just good to be like in the side and read books. I'm that kind of person growing up. But I'm into leadership, but I'm not really the person that I like wanted to be really always in the spotlight.
Mm-hmm.
And so when God asked me to write, I started with the blog. And then I'm really hesitant, and then God will just talk to me through the Bible. But I was hesitant. I thought I'm going crazy because I always heard God talk to me when I was younger, always in a dream, but not in Bible verses. But when I arrived here in the US, always in the Bible verse. So I told my mother, maybe I'm going crazy, reading the Bible. But after that, I told my sister about it, and I said to God, can you just please let my sister do it, because I'm not really the best person that you can ask me to be a speaker, to be a writer, to be this one, because my sister is really very smart person.
Mm-hmm.
She is really a valedictorian and a cum laude compared to me. I know I am best in what I do, but I think it's not just being smart in school, but I think it's just because it's my belief and trust in God. I think that's what makes a difference, and God asked me to do that because I'm also the eldest in the family.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I did the speaker training, there was a speaker. She was in the business for 25 years, and she asked me, why you're here? And I said, I don't know. I'm not sure why God asked me to be, but I don't know why I'm here. And it doesn't happen. This one, like being here in LA, it's not in the crazy mind that time. But she says well, just do what God asked you to do, because as you move ahead, the Holy Spirit will guide you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's honestly true. And having this book right here, right now, I feel like I accomplished God's mission, because there's really a lot of time when I arrive here in the US. I know here in California, I have all this plan, like, I want to be an insurance agent, because I'm very I'm not so sure if it's a big head, but I know that I can do better there because I'm really good in talking to people, like sales talk, like something like that. And I know also that how you are raised and how you portray since you are a child, and people knows that you are that kind of person. It's really make a difference when you sell something to them. Why?
Mm-hmm.
They will honestly always believe you right away, because they know that you are being honest of what you are telling them. Or you are not just selling something, or you are not just presenting an item because of money, like because you earn from it,
Mm-hmm.
but because they know that it happens, you get a result from it, and it's true.
So, going back to the book, you said there are 20 chapters in the book,
Mhm.
and each of those chapters represent a special time in your life,
Mhm.
right? And so, what are those experiences that you wrote about? Are they all traumatic experiences?
Yeah.
And so, can you give us an example?
So honestly, so there's 20 chapters of this one, and in every chapter there's a traumatic experiences. So like for example, this one, the first chapter is when I was 3 years old, I lost my friend, my best friend. She's honestly my best friend, and she found drowned in the sea. And before it happened, she honestly went to my grandparents' house to ask me to play with her. But I don't know what happened. She was found dead just nearby the bahay kubo that they live. And my grandmother, because I was a sickly child since I was very little. And you know, when you were in the mountains before, they have this superstitious belief that if you are sick, you can't go near with a dead body or something. So it was honestly, I didn't know this, that it's traumatic. And so it was honestly heartbreaking because my grandmother didn't allow me to even say goodbye to her or hug her, and never even let me step in their house. I was just really like, maybe from here or over there, really from a distance, and I saw people crying, hugging her, and I couldn't, like, I wanted to go with her burial, and my grandmother didn't allow me.
So how old were you back then?
I was 3 years old at the
You were
time.
3?
There's also an instant here when we live in Cagayan de Oro that my mother got in a car accident and we didn't see them for like 2 years of our life. It was hard before. There's no cell phone during that time. So we never really got to talk to our parents for total 2 years. So ganyan, yung mga ganong mga istorya, mga story, that's traumatic already for the children.
So I'm curious, like what happened? Why weren't you able to talk to your parents for 2 years?
Because my mother is a single mom. She worked in Cebu, and so nobody will take care of us there in Cebu. So she let us go home in Mindanao, and so she got into a car accident. But there's also family fraud that time, because for my family, my father's side, they said that, oh, my aunt will kidnap our like family and then they will not return me and my sister to my mother. So we were scared that time if like my family will not return us to my mother and just be with them. So we decided to, go to my mother's family back in Bukidnon. And so at that time also, the reason that we were not able to talk to her, or she was not able to come into Cagayan for 2 years, is because she's a single parent and she got into a car accident. So of course the expense for going back forth is too much for her. So she just have to send the money instead of just spending it for fare. So yeah. So that's the reason that we're not able to have a time with our parents for 2 years.
And so, for example, when you were 3, it seems like you remember a lot from then. Did you think that there was something wrong? Were you missing your best friend at such an early age? Because, during the time when you're just 3 or 4, it's hard to remember a lot of things when you're a child. And so, did that event in your life stick to you? Like, you remember it vividly and clearly that happened?
That one is honestly part of my brain. Honestly, a lot of kids that are really like me, survivors, a lot of us really remember a lot of things. Because you also have to know that some kids that also are in trauma, a lot of them, if they don't remember their childhood, a lot of their childhood things, that's also part of trauma, because the reason that they are not remembering it is because they're trying to cover up all the bad things that happens to them. But then, growing up, I never really think a lot of stuff because we are always busy. Growing up, we're always very active in school, in church, and in our community. So I don't really have the time to think like yung mga PTSD. We don't have that because it's like we don't have the time to really self-pity ourselves, because we always like go. And it's honestly very important for us, and especially for our children, to really have that time to really like grasp yourself and to meditate, to think what happens to you, because when you do that, you are able to express yourself, and then you don't hold the trauma inside you. And I think that's the reason also maybe that that trauma is getting into me physically, is because we're not able to express ourselves, and we don't have that kind of help growing up, especially in the Philippines. And this is the reason also that this book is here right now because not a lot of people in the Philippines can afford therapy. Even here in the US, it's hard to do therapy. Like for Keira, we spent like 245 or 45 minutes of therapy before we left from New York. We spend that much just for 45 minutes, and not a lot of people can afford to spend 245 just for 45 minutes of therapy per week, and it's really expensive. So this one is just like a shortcut of it for people to know that, oh, this one can be traumatic, and this one, and also one thing also that's part of it. I think you will be shocked for this one because I didn't know also. So when we grew up, one of the things that we do is we always move from one place to another. So that's why we're used to making friends. So it's honestly painful too because like I will make friends with you this year and then we will move to another city. It was painful honestly in the very beginning before we felt like so tiring to know people. It's like you will get close to this and then you will leave them, and then you get close and you will leave them. When I was in college, it was honestly a positive thing too. Why? Because then your social skills, I didn't know that it's building up your social skills to be with people, to talk with people, to associate with different, another culture, another language. Because even if I'm Bisaya from Cebu, you going to Bukidnon or Cagayan, they are Bisaya, but they honestly have different kind of the way they talk Bisaya. They have honestly a difference for it. So it's really, really, really very important. Back to your question about that, I am really happy. I think that's maybe one of the reasons that God asked me to write. There's another thing also that I honestly forget about the sex abuse. And this is really very important. So when I was younger, I'm really a very silent child. Since in the very beginning, just when we escaped, I realized how godly I was since I was very little. And I didn't know that we were sex abused with a family members back then.
So you and your sister?
Start with my sister because my sister is a very sweet child. We were like 8 to 9 years old that time. And for me, even if I'm a silent child, people can't really easily get through me because I am really very strict. I'm a very strict person talaga. But my sister is really very sweet. You know yung sweet child that you want to hug, you want to do things like that. And then I noticed one of a relative do something to her, and for me that time I didn't like it, but I didn't understand. I just realized when my son is already 8 years old, parang nagpa-pop up yun. So that's the only thing na we forget about it, and parang God wanted to include it here kasi yun lang yung na-forget ko, and I realized also that it was sex abuse, and really very important for us Filipinos talaga to really educate our children about like touch, even just kiss. What's an appropriate kiss? For my sister, it's a kiss, and I just didn't like it the way it is. That's so weird. Why is kissing her like that? But hindi ko alam that was a sex abuse. And then we were sleeping together, and so I told my sister, "Nana, I think I just want to switch." So we ended up for me here, and then my sister is in the middle, then the family guy something. So, and after I saw it, and I told my sister, because I don't know, I was like 9 years old that time, but I think that's the gift that God gave me. So I was just like telling her that, hey, I just wanted to switch sleep with you. Going back that time, I honestly didn't understand why. Then when it pops up, it started to pop up na. I was like, oh my God, that's sex abuse pala. So it's really important for our children back home to really educate about sexual. What's the proper way na it's too much for the adults and it's not okay, and to let the kids learn the boundaries or stuff. It's really at a young age. I know this book is really too much. Even my editor will say that it's too much for kids to read. And I said, yes, it's too much for the kids to read. How much more for us who experience it at a very young age? So can you imagine the trauma that the children, and especially right now with all the things that I go through physically, I'm really happy, and I understand now why God wanted me to write this book. And even my friend will say that nobody have the same book as you do. It's really hard to do this kind, it's hard to explain to people and such. And I'm like, that's why God is asking us to write this book. That's how we're gonna write, or that's how people write. That's how people get the news, or like experiment or do research and stuff, because they wanted to help others. And I hope this book can really reach even to the mountainous. I really ask people, to those who are rich that can afford, hopefully they can donate it to people that couldn't afford to buy, because it's really very important for the Filipinos to have this book. This book, even I have to sell 1 million for this one in order for me to start having a profit, guys. So don't worry about me being rich for this book, but it's really for us to help others. And this book is not easy for us. It took me like 5 years to even say yes to God. I believe in God since I was very little, but when God asked me to go out there to speak in His name, I made a lot of alibis, honestly, because I don't want people to know my story. I was scared for people, but then when I started opening to my followers and such, I burst in tears when people were saying to me that they can relate to how I feel, and they were thanking me for opening up or healing them. I'm not so sure if I'm the one helping them or they are the one helping me, but in another way, it's really both sides.
In a lot of ways, it's a symbiotic process. Like they're helping you also with your journey, with your healing, right? And so, what was the impetus for you to start writing a book? What was that defining moment that made you want to write a book? You said you were answering God's call. So what was that call? How did you know that it's God's calling?
Back 2014, 2015, honestly, God wanted me to write. So it's in the Bible. But I'm not like you, Mick. I'm really, I know I'm a godly person, but I'm not really a person that wanted to really always do the Bible verse. And I know God always tells me, you have to put the Bible verse, you have to do it, you have to do this and that. And I know He said that to me too. But the defining moment for that one, He honestly tells me that. But then for me, I'm just really like, I don't know. So that's why I made the blog Roadies on the Road. Instead of like being like you, putting like really just make with and then the Bible verse and this one, I think I'm more confident, Lord, to like do the travel blog, because I travel, so you know how Mama always travels, so I'm also very sickly. So every time I'm sick, guys, I'm not just lying down at home. Because of my mother has to travel all the time, I ended up traveling the whole Cebu, even if I have high fever. So I'm like, okay, Lord, because I'm a hospitality and tourism major, I am confident to do it that way. And I'm like, God, it's been so long that I've been in the leadership position or do leadership in the church, but I grew up like that. When we were in the Philippines or in Cebu, so we were very active in the healing ministry in Cebu City with Tita Cora. But then when we arrived here and when I got married, I honestly stepped out there because my ex-husband is not really into like Catholic or stuff. For many years, I said no to God.
How did you?
And aside from that,
like how did you? See?
I'm on my way there. And so now, Nick, I always ask God for a sign, and it's not only 10, 20 signs for many years, but all the signs until God made me sick. So one time, God made me dream to sing, praising, and worship to Him, to use my hands and heal myself. So it was weird because I woke up in my dream that I was singing, praising, and worshiping Him while I was like touching my legs or something. Then right after that dream, the next 2 nights, so the first night, it was my ear. God made my ear really, really painful. I've never got that pain in my life. It was parang yung brain ko, parang nilulusak-lusak na parang like, yeah, I can't really I can't really explain to you guys. Like maybe you listening to me, maybe you're telling me that, oh, April is just like making it, but it's not talaga. So I remember, so I was crying talaga, and then I was just like, I remember parang merong nag-message sa akin, use your hands, sing, praise, and worship. So na-remember ko yung dream ko the other night. So I went to bed just crying and just putting and praise and worship until nakatulog lang ako. When I woke up, the pain was gone. And until now, I've never experienced that ear pain. So, but then, hindi talaga ako nag-yes pa ni God that time. So, the second night, so all day I was just really fine all day. And then the next night, I'm about to go to bed again. My God, do you know what God did? Yung legs ko, the full legs, yung paa ko from here to there, parang yung legs ko parang ginugupok. Parang yung it's not only muscles, parang yung mga bones talaga na ang grabe, ang sakit na, yung sakit talaga na like parang magminatay ka na you know, it's very painful. So doon na ako, then I said to God, well, God, okay, Lord, I already believe you, that you are really talking to me. I will say yes to you for writing. I will be a speaker. But how can I do all these things? I'm just a stay-home mom for 15 years. What am I gonna do? I don't know a lot of people. I only go out because of her extracurricular activities, but I've been home. What am I gonna do? How I can do that? Like, I'm not a writer myself. Hindi ako gaya sa'yo na, like, you know, I've never been into writing when I was little. I'm like, how can I do this? Then I said, okay, Lord. So, until like, okay, Lord, I say yes, just guide me. When I woke up, nawala yung pain. Nawala. So, I was crying because I know that God really talked to me. Parang He's really telling me na, I already gave all the signs to you, pero bakit ka ang tigas talaga ng ulo mo? And I've been always obedient to Him since before I left here for US. I'm always like obeying God and stuff, but yun lang talaga, I just don't want to share my story to people. When He asked me, but then He says that the purpose of me speaking and writing is to embody all the miraculous things that God made in my life, and He wanted the people to know that He is true, pure, and alive, because a lot of our children right now, they don't believe in God. A lot of kids right now doesn't believe in God, and I'm not so sure if it's the kids. I know that Mama is really very religious too, but I honestly don't know how. Like at a young age of 3 years old, when we escaped, it was really a miracle. And looking back, that I can't believe that at a young age, I'm really that very persistent na nandun talaga si Lord. So even coming here also in California, God also just telling me through the Bible verse then, that He was just telling me, merong Bible verse na says that I prepare the lodging to you. Go and I prepare the lodging to you. And to be honest, guys, we left New York that I don't know if we're gonna be sleeping in the street or where we're gonna go, because I already put in my mind too that I don't wanna be pabigat sa friend ni Mama at saka yung sa isang friend ko, kasi hindi ko like, we are good friends, but we just saw each other here when the kids was like 5 years old, but we just communicate online, but we never really like, you know, like iba kasi yung you see each other all the time and hang out in person and that. So I don't wanna be pabigat. God is really true to His words, so that's why God wanted me to send this message. I know that this is your platform. God wanted me to send this message to everyone that we really have to have that prayer time with Him, because through prayer time, that's how He will talk to us. So when He talked to us, when we master of like hearing God's words to us, even if we feel like our life really is like at the very bottom, but when we know that God is with us talaga, like nobody can really shake us. Kasi even if we think we are alone, it's like He always really make us feel that He's there.
And so, in your quiet times, how do you talk to God?
Because since we grew up that we don't have a father with us, so parang ko na siyang papa. So I talk to her like my own dad, like my own father. So that's how I honestly sometimes I will say that, oh Lord, I thought that you're gonna do this and that. So sometimes when you don't know me, it's like I feel maybe you will think I'm crazy or like that. But my friends know that I'm really that kind of person talaga na very prayerful. You just really have to have that time lang talaga to really spend time with Him. He doesn't really even need a long time. He just wants you to have that spare time with Him. And to be honest, one time when I was doing this book, and I was also trying to get to be an insurance agent, and then sometimes I will multitask like in praying God, doing a lot of stuff. For example, I was doing things and then I will just hear Him in the background. It's like He will say, no, this is not what I want. I want my own time. I'm a jealous God. Like, He will really talk to you in detail. And so even my kids, like they know that, and they know like what happened here and stuff. I know that what happened here is really the time where it's a way for me, I think, that the Satan will really try to get me to not believe in God. Because that one thing is really very important, like very, very important for me. But I think Satan was really trying to get me out in here, because I know me before coming here in LA. I know that God wanted me to speak His name. And I think Satan made a distraction for me in order for me not to get out, in order for me not to speak and not to talk. Because when that happened, it's like Satan was like, oh, we have to do this in order for her to back down, Even Keira experienced that in her school. Like a lot of kids, maybe 90% of the kids in her school doesn't believe in God anymore. When they know that you are Christian, they will fight you. And if they know that you are Catholic, the more they will fight you. That's why Kira's like, I'm just gonna be silent, Mom, because I don't really want to fight people, especially if I told her we have to do with our healing, and when the time is right, God will know that we are ready to get out there and preach His name. Because God was always like telling that, I will send you to the promised land, but you have to promise me that you will have to sing praises and worship.
You mentioned healing several times, and you can heal yourself when you're not feeling well, right? But have you tried healing other people?
That's a good question. You're honestly a very good interviewer, but I'm not so sure. So I think God, this is your thing. But honestly, me, God always talked to me that I have that gift, and this gift of healing, it already it shows to me when I was in college. But my mother is really a very strict mom. So Tita Cora that time, the head of the healing ministry in Cebu, told me one time, I was a member of the Youth for Christ in Cebu, and there was a time that there was this event that all the Kids for Christ, all until to the Couples for Christ event. And so Tita Cora, it happens that I was standing beside her, and I don't know where's Mama at the time. I think Mama was late, and she was just telling us that, oh, you have to meet your titas, and I will be there, something like that. So that time we were like praising and worshiping, but Tita Cora told me that time that April, you have a lot of gift of the Holy Spirit. A lot. And it's really very strong. I was so shocked. I'm not ready to, because si Mama that time we are very, she's very active in the healing ministry, diba? Even if we are religious that time, sa college time, even if we are religious and stuff, but when it comes of this matter, when you are young and stuff, para sa akin, that's so weird. It's like, for me, that time, it's like, I don't believe it, or I can't accept it. So, si Tita Cora, honestly, that time, she mentioned me 4 gifts. Gift of wisdom, gift of healing, gift of tongue, and gift of, I forget the other one, but she says that there's really a lot of gift to me. And I ran. Because when she told me that, I ran. I told my sister, we have to go home. Because I was scared if she gonna told my mother. My mother is really very strict. For me and my sister are just always home, school, and then Mama, even if we do like schoolwork, Mama is really very strict for us, and she doesn't care if we slept 2 a.m., 1 a.m. She will wake us up for a 3 a.m. mass. So it's already a burden. For me that time, it's already a burden to just wake up for 3 a.m. going to mass. Wala kang tulog, you know. For me, I'm sorry ma, but this is true. What kind of mother is this one? It's just really too much, you know. And I was already prayerful that time. So when Tita Cora, and then we always really have like a praise and worship every day, and we really have to spend praying with Mama for 1 to 2 hours and doing all this praising, really like all the proper ways for that. And for me that time, Tita Cora mentioning that, I was afraid if Mama will know it, and then my 1 to 2 hours praising and worship prayer time might be like becomes an all day, like you know, like just to train me. But I wish, and then that after that, there was this event in Tita Susan's place, and three of us have a healing gift. I don't know why I stand up that time though, but I think I just didn't really, I don't know why it happens, but I remember there was 3 of us that was healing them. There was also 3 people in our group that was possessed devil, like really. And I was the one that with the strongest one. So the 2 was already down and stuff. And this guy, I forgot who he is, but I remember that time that he's about to really like burst, like he was like really weird and stuff. So the only thing that I did to him, I just really hug him so tight and push him down, and I have to hug him. Parang the Holy Spirit was talking to me and saying that you have to hug him and because he was about to get up and he's getting stronger. So I was like getting stronger and using my gift of tongue. So that time, so si Tita Susan that time too says, does your mother knows about this? That you have that gift? So I honestly lied again. So I lied and I said, yes Tita, Mama knows, and then I ran. So the reason for it, because I don't want Mama to know, because I'm already scared for the prayer time that she's giving, like wanting us like almost every day we have to pray, and Mama always on travel, so we are the one who's really doing all the housework. Mama doesn't cook for us. Mama mostly is really a father figure to us, like you know, like that. So it's too much for us. Another hour, like 1 to 2 hours, and another hour just to teach me. But when God talked to me through the Bible verse, like all this thing, and then that night also that He's showing me, I know He's showing me because my kids, honestly, when we arrived here, before I left New York, my son believes that I have that gift. And then the first one, my daughter experienced it with my son. So we were in church that time. I didn't know that he brought this pepper spray with him. So itong batang to, nag-play pala siya while we are in church. So of course, na-spray niya yung mata niya. Hindi ko alam kung anong nangyari because I was very focused sa mass. And then Keira's like, he was crying, and Keira said, Mommy, I will have to help Kayo. We will go to the bathroom. So they went to the bathroom. My God, they ended up going back to me, and my son cries more so loud, and he was like 9 years old. I'm like, oh my God, these people here in church will really be like, you know. So instead of like just being angry, I was just following. So parang God or the Holy Spirit was talking to me. So I didn't know what's happening. So I just told my son, come here. So I sit down and I put him in my lap. And then parang God was telling me to pray over him. So I just put my hands into his eyes and I just prayed over it. And then nawala yung red spot, nawala and stuff. And then my son was just laughing without, parang walang nangyari, something. And that's the time that my daughter really saw it. When she saw that moment, she also believed that I have that gift.
Was your journey of coming to America part of this book?
No, coming to America part of this book, honestly, no. This one mostly is really the childhood and until we graduated college. The other one is almost honestly all draft now. So the other book will be called Our Journey Through the Light. So that will be part of it. So we ended this one here telling people that we are both now here in America and each have 2 kids. So the story about being here and stuff will be in the next book, and that book will be more of like spiritual book, Our Journey Through the Light, because the Holy Spirit was honestly guiding us on the way here to LA, and they also experienced that. But this one is really to give awareness to all of us, to be compassionate, loving, caring to our children, and let's be a parent to every kids we stumble, because some of the people that step up to us, they are not a parent themselves, and they made a difference, really made a difference in our life, because without them being with us that time, baka naging drug addict na kami, or baka naging nabuntisan na kami, you know, like, or remarried, but because of their positive, like because of our positive experiences outside na, like, you know, it really makes a difference. And because of my experience as a mother here with her, I think part of it, that's how the wisdom and the knowledge and being a child, that having that experience too, it makes really a difference talaga. And yeah.
And so what would you say to parents out there whose children are experiencing some kind of trauma?
What I gonna say to them is really be there for their kids, to really learn, because it's really very important for our kids. You know, I know that other adults can make a difference for the kids' life, but it's also really nice also for the kids to really have a parent in their side. We grew up talaga that when me and my sister noticed na how our friends, how they have a great parents talaga being with them, naiiyak talaga kami. We are not a jealous kids, but the only thing that we are jealous lang talaga is sometimes when we see them, how their parents are being there to them. It's really make a difference talaga in a child's life kung meron isa sa parents nila that will step up and help them with their trauma. Because, you know, when we step up, we are protecting our kids, their physical and mental space. And, you know, instead of bringing them having depression medicine, all these kind of medicines that they have to really, like, you know, like take. They don't have to take it. All we need to do is just be there for them, show for them our support and love.
With your own kids, you said you have a son and a daughter. So how do you actually raise them every day? What does your daily life look like with your kids?
It's easier for me right now because I'm just a stay-home mom. So that's make a difference. But for my son, we mostly just home. I'm a stay-home, and my son is a homebody person. and we only have to get out because of her extracurricular. So we goes to church Sundays. It depends on our schedule if it's gonna work in the morning time or in the afternoon. So gladly here in LA, it's a nice weather here. I'm really happy that God sent us here. My God, it's really make a difference, and I'm glad also that the kids really have an open mind to go to church now compared before. Kasi sa New York, it's always snowing. So right now, when we go to church, it's not like before that they will complain. They will just say, okay, la, most of the time.
How did you end up in California from New York to California?
Honestly, so God was talking to me about it, all the signs. I asked God all the signs and stuff, and also with her dream. So she honestly dreamed to be an artist. And we were here when she was 5 years old. So from that time, she always dreamed to be an artist, and always says that, Mommy, I will really come back in LA and live in LA. I want to be an artist. So, but I always pray to God. I always pray to God that if He will give us the blessing to be able to afford to stay here in California. So during the pandemic, honestly, God gave us that blessing. I honestly don't know my situation with my ex-husband and stuff. But then God was just like guiding me. The Holy Spirit can't guide us if we are not also always hearing His words and also putting the steps, like, going forward. Because if we are hearing the words and we will not acknowledge the words, then we will be stuck. Then the Holy Spirit couldn't guide us. But for us, I asked for a sign to come here, and then I asked that, Lord, so she applied to 3 art schools. She applied in Oksha, in Laksha, and then in CSART. So she got accepted for the 3, and then that's one of the sign. And I told God, I don't want only one. I want the 3 of them, because I know it's hard to get into this school, especially we are outside of the country. I know outside of the state, it's really hard to come in, especially with all the kids that are here. They are already way more up, like, more than her. So God made it, and then when it happens, when we accept the results for all that one, God also talked to me through Saint Benedict that says that the door is wide open for you to walk on the other side. And no one and nobody can close it for you.
When you were recounting all of these traumatic experiences in your life, what was going through in your head for you to even want to write all about it and like try to remember what was going on in your head? Like, where did you get the strength to do that?
That's a good question. So aside from the strength for doing that is because, as I said when I shared with you earlier about my sickness, I know that God is not joking about it. I know that God is not joking, and I have to follow what He asked me to do. And aside from that, there's a therapist, like during the pandemic. I'm not so sure if it's a research in Facebook or something, because it was really a very big group. And I get into that group because I thought it was because just for my childhood trauma. And this therapist, she was a therapist for like maybe 30, 40 years. She honestly died helping people. And she's the one who told me that, and I know that's also a validation from God. She told me, you have to write a book about it to help others. That's her message, and I'm really so thankful for her to send that message for me, because that's a validation, and also of how I got sick. I know that God is not joking me, because before that happened, there's a page, as I said, I'm just really stubborn, guys. There's a page in the Bible that God made me open. He summarized all the things that happened to the disciples or the prophets that didn't said yes to Him right away. He summarized it all. And I was honestly, The reason that I can't also, the reason also guys that I don't also write it because I was scared. I was telling I'm not acknowledging it. Honestly, I'm not acknowledging it because I was just like thinking maybe I'm just going crazy for doing the Bible. And I even told, before I come here and stuff, I told my mother, like, Mama, you have to read the Bible with me. You have to do this because just making sure that I'm not going crazy, like doing the Bible, so that, some adults can guide me if I understand it right and not. Even being in Duarte, before we go in Duarte, we always get this message. God always says that you live in the Northeast, like the very first time I heard you read that page about Northeast and such. And honestly, Duarte is a Northeast. And I didn't know about Duarte at the time because the reason that we were in Duarte because just the school, just for the word Caesar, but I honestly didn't know like, oh, what's Duarte? So when the kids speak Duarte, that's honestly the time when I went and I researched about what's Duarte, what's this one, what's this place all about and such. And then when me and Mama was like doing the map, and Mama says, hey, that's the page that you always read in the Bible because God was always detailed that there's 3 mountains in there, and Duarte there's honestly 3 mountains, and one of the mountains there is Mount Zion. Yeah, and I didn't, do you know that? I honestly didn't know that. And so Mom was like, hey, I checked the map, there's a Mount Zion. Even that's the page in the Bible that we always see, like God always talk about. And then when I read about also the description of like San Gabriel, it's also like says Northeast and this and that. Mama, even this one also like the page that always says God always says that northeast of the city and this, and that's really northeast of the city too. God will always really talk to us in really, really, really detail. When you started doing the verse, I know that you didn't do that, but I know God is talking to me because He's asking me to write a book for something. I know that you're sending this person to me, God, because He knows that I am stubborn. God always tells me, you have to write the verse, but for me, like I don't want to be that very bookish, or I don't want to portray myself to be too much for people, But it's not because I don't want people to accept me, but because maybe I'm not just ready in that way of my life na, being in that position talaga. But yeah, so one thing lang talaga is, I think it's here also, Mick. I will just share this one to you. When I was 2 or 3 years old, I dreamed that my father will commit suicide. So right after I dreamed, I woke up my mother and I told my mother that we have to go home and we have to travel in the bus for 4 hours. And I told my mother, we have to go home, Mama. I need to see Papa because Papa will kill himself. So gladly my mother believes in me. And when we arrived there, my father is really there, almost committing suicide. And glad that we arrived, and so the people was asking him, Dom, you have to get down, April is already here. I was crying and stuff. And then when Papa sees us, he's honestly come down and stuff. I think part of Papa's thing is really the depression. And I know it's another book to write to give awareness for us. It's really, we have to really check our men. A lot of men are abused and we don't know that. And it's not only men who do abuse women. Women have the capacity to abuse men too. And we have to check our men because a lot of them are really struggling because of the society. So I have that kind of gift talaga, and I always believe.
Yeah, so awesome. And can you tell our viewers where they can find the book?
Yes, so here in LA, guys, I'm really trying my best. So it's already in Grams Park, in Amazon, and I'm building my website, thekeysjourneytolife.com. And just to be safe for now, if you wanted to buy it for cheaper price and have my signature and this gold seal. You can only have this one if you buy this through me, because that's the only way that I have the book. So you can contact me and send me a message at 585-354-0422, and that's also the number where you can send your Zelle payment. I'm trying my best to make the book available to the library around here in LA. We are also working for the ISBN in the Philippines. So finally, I got accepted for the NBDB certification as an author and writer in the Philippines. So I'm happy for that one. And we are working for the Philippines, but here in the US, I have 2 places in Monrovia that they accept me. So I will be working for that one. So I just wanted you guys to help pray for my health. I'm still struggling, honestly, physically. Moving forward, my goal is to make it available for everyone to really have the time to read this one, so that for those Filipino survivors that couldn't afford it. I know that $30, $40 is still expensive. It's really very expensive, but I even price this very cheap for now. I'm really trying to make it affordable, but because of how many pages it is and that, so really have to really price it also, because I spent so much money for this book, and I know that each one of you guys is really worth it. I have to sell 1 million in order to have a profit of this book, and I don't care as long if I can help a lot of people for this one because of our story, and that's really like a mission accomplished for me for saying yes to God.
So you were talking about verses earlier and reading the Bible. And so what is that part of the Bible, or what is that verse that you would consider your life verse?
I don't memorize it, guys. I'm really bad for this one, Mick. I will accept that, but this verse really is like my life even until now, that even if you walk in fire or water like that, God is there. I don't have to be afraid because God is always there with me. I think it's Isaiah 43.
So congratulations on your book, and so everybody contact April Keira Rode for the book. What's your phone number?
585-354-0422.
And thank you so much for being with us today, April.
Thank you so much, me, for
Thank
inviting
you.
me here.
Thank you so
It's
much.
really nice to sit down with you here and finally letting people know about God and sharing our story with God's miracles in our life.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll see you soon.
See ya. Bye,
Bye.
guys.
You raise us well, despite all the struggles, showing us our strengths and how to be bold. You raise us well, being good citizens of the world, teaching us the loving kindness for us to hold. Take our mind, think of nothing but Him, and take our hearts, feel it's everything we'll ever need. Take our minds, think of nothing but Him, and take our hearts, feel it's everything we'll ever need. As well, bearing gratitude in all things, and be grateful to the people who help and pushes us to achieve. Take our minds, think of nothing but Him. And take our hearts, feel it's everything we'll ever need. Take our minds, think of nothing but Him. And take our hearts, feel it's everything we'll ever need. Take our minds, think of nothing but Him. And take our hearts, feel it's everything we'll ever need. Take our minds, think of nothing but Him. And take our hearts, feel it's everything we'll ever need. You play with your guitar, singing praises. You do your walk with humbleness and graces. Thank you, Mother. Thank you, Mother. We love you, Mother.